I'm busy. We've left that elephant, obviously, and the the reason for that was because we don't want to disturb that elephant at all. It's not our goal to disturb them or to get them to react to us for, whatever reason. And humans are funny things. We have an effect on the bush around us, and that elephant being that age will and having those tusks would probably have elicited at some point in his life quite a lot of attention from people. And old elephant like that are old enough to have lived through the 1980s when poaching was rife in this area for elephant tusks, and he may carry some residual trauma from those particular years. And the last thing we want to do is elicit an aggressive response from an elephant because he thinks that he's being poached or he's got hunters on his tail and get him to run away or run at us. So we pulled away and left him to his business, and we'll have the memories of sharing an experience like that for a very, very long time. Now, in moving away from that, I've come to this area where this caught my eye. Hold on. Brent has found something equally as rare in the Mara.
Good spot, Manu. Welcome guys. Sorry, we're in a bit of a bad comms area. Manu just pulled off an incredible spot. There is a female leopard just in here. She's looking a bit nervous, so I'm going very, very slowly, and I'm talking very quietly. And I think we might catch her out in the open sand. And our plan today is working. I am absolutely in love with this area. It reminds me a lot of certain places. I've spent a lot of time in Africa. So she was moving this way towards the river. So I see she's trying to slink away from us. So she was right here. I think I see her there. So she's just down up against this wall here. We might have to go to the other side to see her. Okay. We're going to have to go to the other side. I think she's hiding from us. Let me just do a quick double check. So Manu spotted her here. We just watched her slowly slink. I'm just going to have a quick look down into the hole. So what I think she's done is she's moved up against this side here. And she's trying to hide from us. So I don't want to scare her. She's a nervous leopard. So what I'm going to try to do is get on the opposite bank, and it's probably not going to be the best view, but we should get a view of her as she's up against this bank. She is gorgeous though. She is very pretty, very dark. This area is just blowing my mind at the moment. And I told Manu when we came across the river yesterday, I said, we're going to work the Sand River, we're going to look for leopards. And this will be our second, or is our second, and hopefully we're going to be able to get her on camera with you in a second. We're just going to go around this lugger quickly. That was an incredible piece of spotting by Manu. I was very slow on the uptake. He's like, there, and I'm like, I don't know where you're looking, Manu, I don't know where you're, oh, there she is. Let's just have a look if we can possibly see her from here. Yeah, I think she's got right up against the bank there. Now, if she's got a kill, which we'll have a look for now, she'll probably be a lot more relaxed at night. So we might try come here this evening. And you can see these roads have not been driven in weeks, maybe even months. And that makes me like an area even more when I know I'm the only person on this side of the river. Okay. Hopefully we do get a chance to see her. If we don't, I don't want to disturb her, and what I'll do is I'll come back here at night, so even skittish leopards are a lot more relaxed in the dark. They feel a lot more comfortable. So you probably find this female doesn't have a name. She probably hasn't been identified because she is quite skittish. That's about as far as we can push the car. Let me just have a quick look now. That's a very good place to hide, Madam Leopard. Now sometimes the trick is to just stay in one place for a while, and then they get a little bit nervous and they start moving a little bit. But as I said, I don't want to disturb her. I'm just trying to see if she's got a kill in one of these trees. If she does, we'll definitely be back here tonight. I think I'm going to come back here tonight anyway. You found her, Manu? Manu's just looking into all the dark crevices. Okay. Let's have one last little try from a different angle. See if she's... No, she doesn't want to be far. I don't want to disturb her. I think it's definitely worth coming back after dark. Can't see any meat. She will be a lot more relaxed after dark. I just need to head up the hill a little bit. Okay. Oh, so exciting in this area. I can't wait to spend a lot more time. I think this area in particular is going to be very, very good. But of course, there are two things that South Africa and Kenya have in common, and that is of course the termite mound. So let's see if Steph's got one that's taller or shorter than he is.
Now, by some miracle, and I honestly think it's a miracle, we found ourselves back at the termite mound that has the pot buried in it, that pottery shard. And although I can't confirm it just yet, this looks exactly like it. It's 100% it. Herbie also says this is it. And this is the hole. And I do remember the last time I was here, to save it for future sake, I buried it. And it looks like some grass has started to grow on it. On the sand that I put here. And what I don't want to do is pull out this without a brush of some sort, because we're going to damage this thing. So what I want to do is see if I can just lift it early. And see if I can unearth it for you. I remember covering it in quite a decent covering of sand. I'm just scraping with my finger. Louisa's are usually not hot enough to fire the clay, and so all it does is I'll have to come back here with a spade or a little excavation tool, and slowly just take out the grass and the mud. These are rooted here quite deep, and I don't want to break it, bring out this root and then end up damaging the pot. Amazing, eh? So it unearthed itself for us that day. We were standing here surrounded by buffalo. We came back, we had another look at it a couple of days later. We've now left it for a year and a half or so, and water running down this termite mound has fallen down here on the soft sand that we placed and has created an environment where this grass germinated, and now the grass is the tomb keeper of this particular piece of shard. And in the Mara, you're going to be going there, and it is confirmed as Jamie, so see you a bit later.
Either James or myself are going to have to change our names. I think that is the only way around this problem. I think that is the only solution. Anyway, ta-da! Found you something. Apparently Scott says he's thought about something. Magically jumped into my car with us so that I could show you a little bit more about it. Now, I have to tell you that first and foremost, one of my favorite smells in the entire world is black rhino dung in South Africa. I jumped out. I didn't jump out. I'm sorry. When the crotons, no, it's. But I do apologize to all of you. Tech difficulties, it happens, it comes and goes. It's one of the things about bringing you live safaris from the middle of nowhere. Right, we're going to closely examine the piece of rhino dung. I don't know if you caught it, but it magicked itself into my vehicle. I won't go into detail as to how. We've got this pile of rhino dung, and it completely stinks. It really is horrible, horrible smelling. Completely in contrast to the South African rhino. We've got an opportunity to break apart and have a look at what this rhinoceros has been eating. Lots and lots of twigs. Black rhino are browsers, so they are known for feeding on twigs and leaves rather than grazers like the white rhinoceros. Managed to get some of my hair in it as well. Quite impressive. The most characteristic thing that I've always spoken about and always wanted to show you all, where's that big piece? I haven't stopped with the sun in an ideal place, but we'll get by. Where's that big piece? There's a nice big piece. So, and by the way, I will wash my hands after this, but it's just grass and twigs. So, this is one of the most characteristic aspects of a black rhino, and the fact that feeding. It is black rhino. So if we look at this one, there's the angle there. There's some leaves. Oh, there's the piece I was looking for. It's odd that I knew that piece was in there. Heather, you want to know how much food does a rhinoceros need in order to feed itself each and every single day? Just have a look at the angles on that one. And the answer to that is, because as you can see, it's quite an inefficient digestive system. Inefficient in the sense that it's not like a ruminant that sort of, and each has its advantages and disadvantages, but in the sense that a lot of the food that they consume is defecated out pretty much intact, which means they need to eat quite large amounts when compared to their body weight. So for an adult rhino, you're probably looking at around about 20 to 30 odd kilograms would be my guess. If an elephant eats around about 300 kilograms, no, possibly even more. Let's say even more. Let's say around about 50 kilograms of food per day. Because an adult elephant will eat, potentially a big bull elephant will eat potentially around about 300 kilograms. You're looking at quite a large amount of food. A black rhino, obviously smaller than a white rhino by a considerable amount. The one that we saw was a fairly typical male size. So there you go. Been dying to show you black rhino dung. I'm deeply disappointed at how much it stinks. James, yes, along with the fruits of the sausage tree, black rhino will eat other fruits. They also, funnily enough, because you know, as you'll know, the fruit of the sausage tree is toxic to human beings. The same applies to to Tambwerty. Black rhino really like Tambwerty. Obviously their digestive system and their bodies geared towards actually being able to process the toxins that make us very, very ill. But they will eat fruit. Their other favorite foods, especially in South Africa, caterpillar bushes, is apple trees, strangely enough, which surprised me. And then, what is the other thing that we saw them feeding on a lot? Baby knobthorns. They love a baby knobthorn. They'll also use their horns to strip bark, like elephants do, in places where it's very, very dry. Okay, I would have kept this if it smelt like South African black rhino dung, but it doesn't. And I'm confident in putting this down that we're not too far from his territory, because black rhinos do have quite large territories, the bulls. So I don't feel guilty, because there was clearly a dominant bull by the way he was scraping his feet. I would worry about interfering with their setup and the way that they've balanced everything out. Okay, I think it's time, because it's been far too long, I think it's time that we sent you back across the river to James.
Here we are on this side of the river in a dust cloud of some description. We have a giraffe. Let's look at it. There we go. Beautiful picture of the tipple skirt tree having a little meal. I will tell you that we've left the vicinity of the Pride, and we're going to see if we can find either the sausages or more reports of the cheetah with cubs not too far from here, but quite possibly out of signal range. So we'll see what we can come up with as we look at this tipple skirt tree having a little meal. A strong smell of hippopotamus dung in this area. Not the worst smell in the world, better than buffalo innards, for example, but it's not very pleasant. Just trying to identify what kind of plant that is, but I don't really know, I'm afraid. Looks like a flugia, but isn't. And as soon as you come to these thickly wooded areas, there's this beautiful call of the white-browed robin chat that used to be known as the Hugland's robin, which is a much nicer name, I think. And they make up all sorts of little songs during the day. And I've got a little shady spot in amongst of sort of trees like this up near our camp, where I like to do me exercises from time to time, and there's a pair of Hugland's robins or white-browed robin chats that live in there, and they flit about totally confiding and watch and then sort of instruct me as I go about my business. I do, Craig, don't laugh. You should come and join me there. Denise, you're wondering who will win the battle between the lion and the giraffe. Well, it's not always a foregone conclusion. It's actually probably a fairly 50-50 thing. You'll find a lot of times lions will miss giraffe either because they get kicked or because the giraffe is just too big. And there is some quite astonishing footage shot by the husband and wife team Willie Steenkamp and Liani Steenkamp, unsurprisingly, two South Africans many years ago. And they shot a scene in the Namibian desert at a wilderness safari's place, which subsequently made it into Planet Earth 2, of, I think it was Planet Earth 2, it was definitely in fact, of a lioness, desert lioness, chasing a giraffe across this quite amazing landscape. And the lioness gets very close, and the size difference is quite astonishing. But the giraffe eventually kicks the lioness in the head and knocks her clean over. How the lioness got up from that, I don't know, but she did, she survives. And the giraffe gets away. So sometimes the giraffe wins, and sometimes the lion wins. And quite often, if the lion is to succeed, what they have to do is to get the giraffe into a position where it either trips or becomes unstable in some way and falls over. So slips down through a ravine or trips over some rocks or something like that. And then once it's down, then they've got a pretty good chance of getting hold of it because they're not very agile. So, I mean, I suspect you'll find it on YouTube if you Google, or YouTube, what should we say? YouTube lion desert hunt giraffe. I think you'll find that quite amazing footage by those two brilliant filmmakers. Debbie, you want to know why I refer to this giraffe as a tipple-skirchy? That is the subspecies of giraffe we're looking at here. That is the subspecies by which the Maasai giraffe is designated. Giraffa camelolepardus tipple-skirchy. And I just think the word tipple-skirchy is pleasant to say, don't you? Tipple-skirchy. Very good. Okay, on we go. We're going to sneak up over the top of the hill here before it gets too blindingly hot. I've had to put it back on because when we drive it's quite cool. See if this fellow here has got some information for us. He might flag us down. He could equally arrest me for something I've done that I don't realise. Anyway, I think we should probably head across to South Africa, where the great Herbert is having a chinwag with the great Steph. The two elder statesmen would like to share with you what they've been talking about.
And welcome back to our march across the wilderness. We're basically vectoring towards Treehouse Dam, and the reason for that is that we want to go and see if Shadow is coming from the south or if Hosanna has come up from the north. Both of those leopard were missing in action for the last 24 hours or so, having gone south across our boundary and having gone west across our boundary. It's not unfeasible to think that they'd move over. Leopard they're moving all the time, and so it's a good place to start, is where the water is. Not because leopard really need to drink, they don't have to drink, but because things that leopard eat, and hopefully by the end of the walk we'd be able to basically be able to see what's going on over there. So James Henry says that we've been having some he is hearing a rumor that myself and Herbie and VM are having some interesting chinwags. It's always the case when we are on a bushwalk like this and we're moving from one area to another. It's inevitable. You put three boys together in the bush with basically no parental control, that you'll be having some interesting conversations, and today was no exception, as is probably every day. So we're heading for that big termite mound there. That's one of the largest termite mounds that we've got in this particular area, is that one there. And from this termite mound up onto the crest of this hill and then over, we have the largest termite mounds. So if we get it right, you're going to see why rollers are... There we go. Called a roller. What are you going to do? So it is very difficult shooting birds in the sky. So, and VM says his camera's freaked out a little bit. We've pushed the button inadvertently. So we won't try that. It's okay. We'll go back to...
I accidentally went into the menu when I tried it.
Right. So VM says he accidentally went into the menu rather than being able to push a button to allow us to film the sky. So we won't push that envelope much further. And in any case, that roller went to sit. He didn't even do anything. So that was probably a good thing. Let's go and stand on top of that termite mound. That is a building of a termite mound over there. And... I don't know, we were talking yesterday about how old these things can get, and I reckon that these termite mounds can be a couple of 100 years old. And over the course of a couple of 100 years, I think they grow in two different ways as well. Now, John Michael, you want to... So basically that termite mound over there is just one big air conditioning unit. And you also wanted to know how hot they get. Now, they average out between 28 degrees and 31 degrees centigrade. So there's a 3-degree variance in that, but it's hot. So 21 to 30 degrees, or 28 to 31 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. My brain isn't converting things like that this morning, but you'll see that it's hot air, and then warm, moist air rises in a column. By wetting and drying the tunnels with saliva, and by closing or opening these tunnels to the outside air, you can control this convection current. You can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can add humidity, take humidity away, and over the centuries, the eons that termites have been evolving this particular practice, they've become exceedingly good at it. The reason why they do it is because they grow fungus gardens, and of course, the more fungus you can grow, the better. As we know with food production, the more fungus you can grow, the bigger and the more healthy and more robust your colony can be. And so that is basically the function of that termite mound there. It's just a big air conditioning unit for a farm. Right, Jamie has got a male lion that she wants to show you. I'm going to walk and stand there.
Magnificent male lion. So just hold on 1 minute, because I'm going to loop around ahead of him. He's just walking past a vehicle at the moment. I'm going to loop around ahead of him and just have a look and see if we can work out which particular male this is. The last time I was in this area, it was when both Notch boys, well, when one of the Notch boys was still alive, and I had both of them right next to our vehicle. Of course, it seems as though that Caesar has died in the course of the last few weeks of natural causes, and there is just still one remaining Notch boy. This was the area that I saw them in the last time I saw them. It could be him. I haven't had a chance to have a proper look. It could also be one of the new males that have taken.
Welcome. I just can't believe this area we're in at the moment. So we've basically just stuck to the Sand River. Apologies for losing Jamie there, but how it's changed from those forests and thickets where we were with the lions and that female leopard earlier. It's going to give you a look down the valley. And now we're in a much harsher climate. We've still got some wildies that are crossing the river and heading towards Tanzania, but boulders, the occasional sausage tree, the occasional fig tree, and it is looking very harsh. Now I'm quite excited about this area, and of course, as I say, we're working on fixing all the problems, and that's half the fun of coming out to an area like this, is exploring, seeing where we got picture, seeing where we got comms, seeing what we're going to do. Now we've seen spotted hyena, but this is the area where I was chatting to our ranger last night, where he's seen striped hyena quite a few times. So as you can see, probably not as much for the spotties out here. So there's more likely to get striped hyena in this area, but it is quite harsh in comparison to other parts of the Mara, but it's equally beautiful. I'm just having the absolute best time this morning. I hope you guys are as well. This is exploration 101, and it's so great to come to a new area, and also just to, as you say, figure out what spots we're missing and where we're missing. So there up ahead, coming up, is the Sand River Rangers Post, which is where the rangers for this area reside. Does that look like a river crossing? See, we don't even know where we can cross the river. We've been through a lot of places that it's been impossible to cross the river. Now I know there's a bridge up ahead, but I wonder why there's a road that looks used. So there's a lot of non-used roads here. This one looks a little bit more used. I think the roads we've been driving on, we've been the only ones on, I don't think, even weeks. And this one looks like it has been driven on recently. So let's have a look. Maybe it's a river crossing. Maybe it's just a spot to sit and have lunch under a nice tree. I'm going with probably a spot to have lunch under a nice tree. just looking at the way the river is, that's exactly what it is. It is actually a campsite. We should come camp and be fun. Oof, the wind will get you. I was wondering why that was more well used than everywhere else. Nice camp spot there, if you like wind. I don't mind wind as long as I'm out in the open air in the African bush. Okay, I'm going to go say hello to my friends at the Sand River Gate. Neremiah, who's been one of my rangers quite a few times, he's stationed there now, and cross the river on a bridge and not get stuck. While we do that, let's fly all the way, probably close to 50 or 60 kilometers from where we are now, to James in the Mara Triangle.
Here we are in the Mara Triangle, 50 or 60 kilometers from the Sand River Gate. We'll just give you a little view of these multiple tipple skirchies under the trees here. I can tell you that we have skipped the area where the sausages were yesterday on account of the fact that there were buffalo all over there, and so I think it's highly unlikely that they're still there. I think they've probably gone up onto the escarpment, so we're going to go back that way. But we came down here just to see if we couldn't see if that cheetah and the little ones were around here. But everything seems fairly quiet this side. But beautiful pictures there, the giraffe and that little dawn chorus, grassland dawn chorus I told you about earlier this morning, has now quietened down to not much at all. And under all the tall trees, or under many of the tall trees, you will find human beings. They are with their cars, and they're all getting out to have their breakfast, picnic breakfasts and coffees and things, and it's all just rather pleasant. I'm now going to be addressed by this person. No, I'm not. They too are looking at the giraffe. So I'm going to whisper so that I don't sound like I'm talking to myself. Gentle wind blowing today, which is quite pleasant. Natalie, you say giraffe make you happy. I'm very pleased, Natalie. I must say giraffe make me feel very peaceful. They tend to be, I think, rather gentle creatures. Unless you happen to be the tree that you're having being scratched away like that. Marvellous. Let's keep going while we answer Francis's question. Francis, you're all the way in Israel and saying, what exactly is the Mara Triangle? Well, the Masai Mara is the 150,000 hectare area on the northern end of the Mara Serengeti ecosystem, which is in total about probably, well, with all the concessions and things, say 2.5 million hectares. And the Masai Mara, the northern Kenyan section, small section of it relatively anyway, is split in two, and it's into 1/3 and 2/3. Now where Brent and Jamie are in the Masai Mara National Reserve, that's 2/3 of the Masai Mara, and we are in the Mara Triangle, which is 1/3, the western third of the Masai Mara. So it's the western third of the Masai Mara, and it's split by the Mara River, which sort of kind of cuts a triangle from the excuse me, Olololo Gate all the way down to the Purungat Bridge, and it's pretty much a triangle in shape, and that's why it's called the Mara Triangle. If I was allowed to get out of the car and we had some sand, I'd draw you a map, but I'm afraid I can't do that right now on account of the fact that there are people around. That is an eland, never mind, or a topi. We're just going to do a little foray towards the road where the signal will start to break up. It won't go that far, but then we're going to have to turn on and come back up onto the escarpment, I think, because to find the cheetah in such environs will be very difficult. Watch out, everybody. We're going to have to go past another car, so take a deep breath. A lot of dust around at the moment. On the count of 3, 1, 2, and breathe. There we are. Also noticeable, I think, by their absence as the group have gone away, as the herds have gone away, is the fact that we don't have nearly as many vultures around anymore. So I think they migrate quite a lot. Debbie, you made a comment. What was that? Ah, Steffi, you are obviously somebody who is an enjoyer of conspiracy theories. You say the Mara Triangle sounds so mystic. It does a little bit like the Bermuda Triangle, doesn't it? Unfortunately, well, very fortunately, I don't think things just disappear in here, thankfully. Another deep breath. Big balloon baskets coming past. There we are. Mystical Mara Triangle, yes. It sometimes does feel a bit mystical when you're trying to find something like a cheetah in amongst these grassland. But that is the way of things. I think let's go back to South Africa now. There's a artistic group, I think they're a band actually in South Africa, known as the Mystic Boer, and it is from them that Steph gets his name.
A nice shot of us walking through this grass, and you know, we've been marveling while we've been walking around here as to the change in the bush between last year at the end of that drought, where we had a pretty epic summer after it all, and this year, which is the sand, and we've marveled now. We're getting to the beginning of October, and look at the grass cover. Mother Nature just is amazing. When it was for 2 Octobers running, we've had sand and literally a single grass blade that we could have had a look at. Look here, this little insect here. It's a spider, I think. At the tip of my finger. That is amazing. That is so camouflaged, and obviously from one grass stalk to another. Hey, little guy. There you go. Yeah. What hares do. the transmission today. We're having a few small gremlins with internet and the provision of our show across the internet. But don't worry, we've got Alex, the tech genius, on it, and he's managed to salvage it. And we're back with you again, which is amazing considering where we are. We're coming to you out of the middle of the Kruger National Park, in the middle of the Masai Mara in Kenya, two of the most remote places on the globe. And we're doing it on foot, and we're doing it in mobile vehicles. I mean, it's just amazing that we can produce a show like this as well. So thank you very much to Alex for getting all that back online again. This is the mauve flower of a marula. And you can see that it's quite a sophisticated little flower. There's a lot going on there. There's many different parts to it. Multiple flowers. There's the pollen-producing organelle. Well, that's the pollen-producing organelle there. That is the pollen receptacle, so the male and the female part of the flower. And they come out at different times so that the plant doesn't self-pollinate. It's got quite a nice smell. It's a subtle smell. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a mauvey smell. So, I don't know, I suppose like mauve soap, but... You know, it's bland, but there is a perfume there. It's subtle, mauve yellow. Exactly, the plant smells exactly as its color suggests. I don't know how else to say that. Yeah. Right, and we're on a game path that's heading towards Treehouse Dam. We're weaving through some thick bush, which looks pretty much like some tempest has come through here. And destroyed it. It's just this time of the year you can really see how elephant keep the bush thin and how they provide for compost in the form of decaying plant material, and you can just see how many bushes have been smashed down by them. It's quite astounding, but it's also quite interesting. It's keeping it open at least, which is nice. Just repeat our viewer's name there, please, Louise. Anne. Anne, I have to say thank you very much for coming up with this little bit of information for us this morning. So Anne, everybody, has gone and researched the tusker that we saw today, and it's called Ngonyama, you're saying, Louise? Ngonyama. So Anne has gone and researched... Ngonyama. So Ngonyama means the eater of meat, but it also means the lion out here. It's a local word that can mean two things. So Ngonyama is the eater of meat, and we use it as a type of ranger slang to describe lions. So to be the eater of meat or the lion. I wonder why it's called that. And has he got a reputation for being as angry as a lion, or has an appetite like a male lion, or it'll be interesting to know why he was given that name. I mean, yeah, he has such distinctive tusks, and so yeah, thank you I have to say thank you very much for that, and that's very nice of you to have researched that for us. So the eater of meat, or the king of meat, the Ngonyama, the lion. That's nice. I must say I didn't see any of those attributes from him today, barring the voracious appetite that he had. I suppose he did kill that marula, absolutely. So I suppose maybe that's where it comes from. Alright, while we're waiting for a little bit more information, hopefully from Anne, thank you very much, on where Ngonyama got its name from, we're going to send you over to James.
There are two things. Firstly, the wind is now, we've turned around, we're going the other way, and what was a gentle breeze is now a force 10 gale. So the second thing is, I cannot hear what Kirsten has said about what Steph's doing, and I'm fascinated. I'm going to stop the car. What is he looking at? Chatting about the big tusker elephant, and a viewer has given us the name of it, and it is called Ngonyama the lion. That's a very odd thing to call an elephant. Yes, this is my friend He is an elephant, but his name is Lion. Well, I suppose Brent Leo Smith's name is Brent Lion Smith. Maybe it's his surname. Right, thank you very much for that. I just had to stop and get it into my ears, which were not working properly on account of the force 10 gale. We have not found the cheetah, so now we are going to go up onto the escarpment and drive along it all the way kind of back towards home. What always worries when somebody goes speeding past you like that, whether or not they know something that you don't. Constant state of self-doubt when people drive past you here. Anyway, that is the state of affairs of the Masai Mara, which is short of animals right now. Nick, a very common inquiry: how do the cats get their names and who gets to name them? Depends where you are. If you're at Djuma, it is a highly, what we might term, contested space. Despite the fact that no cat in history has ever given a flying what's it what its name is, the amount of political wrangling, argument, backstabbing, intrigue, negotiations, friendship splits, divorces, etc. that go on as a result of cat naming in the Sabi Sands quite astounding. Basically how it's supposed to work, or how a convention has let it work over the last, I don't know, it seems to be a tradition, it might only be a couple of months old, is that the tracker and ranger team who find the cat when it is very small, they are the ones who get to suggest names. Then it goes forward to a voting panel of august senior guides of the area, who then decide whether that name is appropriate or not. It then goes to review to a subcommittee of a committee known as the Sabi Sand Naming. Now I'm talking rubbish now. But basically then the name is supposed to be selected. But of course there's always argument as over who saw it first. Yes, but that guy is not senior enough to come up with a name. That's a stupid name. I don't like it very much, etc., etc. In this area, it's largely, I think it just kind of comes about where the convention starts to name an animal and then it becomes known as that. So I don't know who named Malika. I don't know who named the 5 cheetah musketeers. Here we have some giraffe, finally. And we were very lucky. Hosana and Shongile got their names, well, that was from the senior guides at Djuma, because Brent found those 2 little cats, and he, because we were not particularly senior at Djuma, we handed that honour over to the Djuma senior guides. They picked the names Hosana and Shongile, very nice names they are. And then our viewers picked the name Tamba on our TV show. Was it Tamba? Yeah, it was. Which means rock. Tamba is a young male leopard found at Djuma. Ashlyn, you want to know if the giraffe here are darker tones than the ones at Djuma? I don't think so. Maybe on average. Maybe there are fewer light ones. In fact, there probably are. There probably are definitely fewer light ones. Although there are certainly some lightish ones. There are fewer than the light ones at Djuma. But I've seen actually darker ones at Djuma as well. I think the range is greater in Sabi Sand or in South Africa. And then we also have some eland moving across the plains and some elephant. There's an eland with its leonine tail. Hello, Denise. You are watching for the very first time. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you. Thank you for giving us of your time, and thank you for asking a question. I'm glad to hear that you've had a chuckle or two today. You want to know if giraffe are intelligent? Well, you know, this is a question that we get asked about just about all animals, except perhaps termites. Nobody's ever asked me if a termite is intelligent. But the reason for my saying that is, of course, that a termite is as intelligent as it needs to be, and therefore so is a giraffe as intelligent as it needs to be. Again, as I don't know if you were watching much earlier on when we were discussing rhino eyes and why they have bad eyesight, the physiological investment in making a big brain like ours that functions in the way that ours do is extreme. And no other animal needs a brain like that in order to get by. So natural selection has not selected for giraffe with enormous brains able to do calculus, trigonometry, and send people to the moon. Conspiracy theorists notwithstanding. And so they are as intelligent as they need to be. Can they speak? No. Can they do arithmetic? Probably not. Do they need to, though? Absolutely they don't. So they have a network, a neural network in their brains that is entirely sufficient for their lives and entirely sufficient to help them keep breeding and keep getting, I guess, what do we want to say here? They keep perpetuating. So it's an interesting one. We tend to think of intelligence in terms of human intelligence, which is of course entirely natural, given that most of us are humans. And so in terms of human beings, they're not nearly as bright as baboons or chimpanzees or gorillas or dolphins or probably even elephants. But as far as giraffe go, they are as intelligent as they need to be. And it's quite interesting, the brain size and the intelligence from a human perspective is often, while not predicted, is often, well, it is. It's kind of predicted by their social structure. The more complicated the social structure is, the more intelligent the animal tends to be from a human perspective. And I keep adding in from a human perspective because we are defining intelligence, but I mean, for a giraffe, what is intelligent and what isn't? A giraffe able to do complicated calculus but unable to discern the difference between a poisonous and a non-poisonous tree would be considered particularly dim-witted in giraffe society. Where are all these cars going at high speed? I'm slightly worried about this. Maybe they've just finished their balloon breakfast or something. Jane, you want to know if giraffe fall down, can they get up? Very seldom can they get up, actually. Very often they will fall over, and that will be that. If they fall over on sort of even ground like this, yes, sometimes they can get up. But in water, no chance. In water, if they fall over, they will almost certainly die. And on uneven rocky ground likewise. They do lie down, they just fold their legs up underneath them and keep their heads up. But if they fall onto their sides, it's very, very difficult for them to get up. Alrighty, let us move along. Thank you, Craig, for your efforts on the giraffe sighting. Astoundingly, Leo Smith, who has had a game drive, to go down with the best of them, has found yet another spotted cat.
Well, we've changed from a leopard to a cheetah. I do not know this cheetah. I can't see whether it's a female or male just yet, but she or he is eyeing a herd of impala that is down the valley. I'm just going to move a little bit. But it has been definitely one of those really incredible drives. You don't often have them where everything just goes your way. Porcupines running around, and leopard, lion, cheetah. Unfortunately, we couldn't share the leopard with you, but I didn't want to scare her and put too much pressure on unrelaxed female, especially because we will be spending a lot more time in that area, and we will be able to habituate her slowly. So I'm just going to stop here so we can see. Now, where were those impala? They were further down the valley, and they seem to have dropped out of sight now. Oh, maybe she's or he's seen them. They were heading right down towards that little valley. Have you spotted them there, Miss or Mister. But we're quite spoilt. I mean, because not only is there a cheetah here, but just across the way there's herds of wildebeest and zebra. There's more of them on the other side of the crest. We're on the move. Heading slowly towards where those impala disappeared. And this cheetah looks very hungry. Okay, so as we always try to do when the animals are hunting, I'm not going to stay close to the cheetah. I'm going to stay up here. So we've got a good vista of what's going to go on, but we're not going to interfere. And I'm just going to move up ahead slightly so we can see possibly where those impala were. So as I drove through here, there was quite a big herd of impala. Looks like a female, I'm going to say for now, so I can have a closer inspection. Now, not only are there impala, but there's quite a lot of reedbuck that we passed sleeping in this little lugger. Now that cheetah is very hungry. Okay. So as I say, we always try to give them... there the impala are. I see the impala now. You see them, Manu? Just off the front left of the car. Where's that tree? A little bit to the right of that car. And... where are they gone? I just lost sight of them. Oh no, a little bit, there we go. Wait, go back a little bit. There we go, see them all there in the lugger, and that's where that cheetah is heading. And as I say, we don't want to disturb, so we're going to keep our distance from, I'm pretty sure it's a her now that I can see a bit closer. Let's have a look. Is there anything under the tail? Doesn't look like it. So it is a female. Very pretty girl. And I say this, as we explore and expand our coverage in the Mara, we're going to find so many fantastic animals. Now, we'll take some photos of this particular girl and send them off to the Mara Cheetah Project, and hopefully we'll have a name for her, because most of the cheetah have names. And the female who's got the cubs up on the escarpment, I've sent the pictures off. We're just waiting to hear back who it could be. We think it could be Musiara. Now, the problem with Musiara, she's got 3 different names depending on who you talk to. And she's called Musiara, she's called Naserian, and she's called Rani. So it does become a little bit confusing sometimes, depending on who you're chatting to. Okay, so again, you always want to be where the action is going to end rather than behind it. I'm just going to position ourselves again a bit further forward. So we want to be where those impala, sort of almost opposite where those impala are. So we're about halfway between where the impala are. But the interesting thing is she might not even go for the impala. She might go for the wildebeest if there's any young ones on the other side of the lugger. So we've positioned ourselves in a place where we are able to see everything that's going on. Oh, I didn't even realize. Thank you for reminding me. Apparently it has been a splendid Catterday. I forgot it was Saturday Catterday. And it has been indeed. I'm just trying to watch her behavior. At the moment, she's still just strolling. I would guess from the impala, 300 meters? I think that's more likely her target than the wildebeest. There we go. You can see that body language changed ever so slightly. There's a little bit more focus. She's got a little bit of a limp on her back left leg. Nothing serious though. Now, what happens is she might lie down for a bit and watch. There we go, and watch the impala to try figure out what she's going to do next. As I say, they might even move towards her as they feed up the lugger. So she looks like she's going to be playing a bit of the patience game. Also checking around carefully, making sure that there's no other predators. We're going to sit chat and see how this plays out. There the impala, not too far away, 250, 300 meters. So while we wait patiently to see what happens next, let's go across to Jamie and see where she's bumbling about in the Mara.
I'm bubbling about, something like that. I'm bubbling about in the direction of that leopard, and I'm desperately trying to get there before the end of the sunrise safari. The road is, well, it's rocky, and the distance is far. We got thoroughly distracted by the black rhino and by the lions this morning, but I think we could do it. I think we can get there before the end of the sunrise safari. How much time have we got? We can do it. Can I do it in 20 minutes? Maybe. Maybe. I need to get to that hill over there. It's really quite far away. Okay, no time to dawdle. We're going to do our utmost to fly in that direction. Oh, but there's a breakfast stop. Maybe I'll get more free breakfast. No, not today. Today we will get there. We'll focus. So it's just, it really has been a learning, not a learning curve. It's not something that I haven't experienced in the past, but it's been a serious reminder. Driving around here in Kenya, it's just been an experience trying to get to places. From A to B is always that much longer and that much further. We really do cover an immense amount of distance out here. And it's pretty much in contrast to what it is we do in the sands. But it always takes longer than you expect to get from A to B and then to C. And if I think about where we are in relation to our camp and to James, we are, I don't know, 40 kilometers away? Probably even more. I'm not sure exactly where James is, but he is also on his way from point A to point B.
We have got a bird, obviously. What kind of bird is the question? And I don't know. I'm going... I think it's an auger buzzard. It doesn't appear to be feathered all the way to the bottom of its leggies. I must confess that I think my eyes are working at about 80% of normal right now on account of the fact that they've been burned by the wind and the heat and the dust. Yeah, I think we've got an auger buzzard there, sitting on a balanites tree. Very difficult to make a nice picture of it in this light, I'm afraid. Now, where we are is we are on the escarpment road, and we are driving along. I think the cheetah is well south of us, actually. So our mission from here is to go along to the little sort of hill place where the sausage tree pride likes to lurk, and we'll go along there and see if we can't spot them over there. Very nice indeed. I must just quickly show you what I meant by people stopping under the trees and having a good time. Oh, in fact, no, we're not going to do that. Leo Smith's cheetah is now on the stalk.
Yeah, she is. She started moving. She's using all available cover, and she's heading slowly but surely towards those impala. Now, this could be quite a while. She might stop and start numerous times to try and make sure she's not spotted. Oh, she might be going before the impala. There is a little Thompson's gazelle as well. So she's got a lot of options in terms of din-dins around this area. So directly in front of us is a little Tommy. It's just popped out from behind a bush. A little bit to the left there. There we go. There's the Tommy. Up a bit. There we go. Grazing, not knowing that there's a potential horror slowly but surely sneaking towards them. Now, of course, this could be quite difficult for her. There's that big herd of wildebeest might spot her. That's why I think she's going to take her time during the stalk and go very, very slowly. So there's wildebeest, zebra, eland all around, as well as the impala and the Tommies. And she's just stopped behind that bush. I don't want to move the vehicle now. I think we're in a really good spot to see everything that's going on. It has been such an absolutely fantastic morning. Uh-oh. Achoo! Oh, excuse me. Lots of dust around up here. And unfortunately, I've never mastered the art of sneezing quietly. Hi, Anna Marie. Anna Marie is wondering, are cheetahs really tall, or do their long legs make them look tall? They are tall. They're taller than a leopard, quite significantly so. They're not as heavy though, so their tall legs do aid in helping them look a lot taller. She's not moving just yet. We're keeping an eye on it, but I must say this whole area from Silas Camp up towards the hills here and down towards Sand River Gate, I think it's going to be, well, it's very fast becoming my favorite part of the Mara. And the Sand River itself just blows my mind away. It's incredible. It's beautiful. Big trees, lots of big cats, small cats, and it'll be an area that'll remain productive throughout the year, as in there's always going to be animals there. There's a lot of reedbuck around, a lot of impala, a lot of buffalo, and some of the zebras stay permanently. So it's definitely going to be an area that I aim to spend a lot more time in over the coming months. Now let's see. No, she still hasn't moved. And we got the wildies on the other side. Now we've seen quite a lot of wildebeest today, but none of those really big mega herds we saw in the beginning of the migration, all spread like this. And as I say, over that little ridge there's quite a few more. Well, we're going to sit tight. Hopefully this cheetah gets up and moves soon. But it sounds like all the way back in South Africa, there's another potential cat sighting with Steph. So let's join him as he follows up on alarm calls.
Welcome back. We've walked into this area because we've got go-away birds and we've got squirrels making a noise in this drainage line. We thought that perhaps Mvula or Tingana might be walking around here, but we can find no sign of anything. It seems to be that there's a bird of prey hunting this drainage line, but we can't see it. It's not flying anywhere. May have just been sitting down here somewhere, and so I don't think there's a leopard here. We both got this funny feeling. Something's happening. The bush is telling us something, but there's no tracks of anything over here. This is beautiful glade. Liam and I have spent the last week walking through pretty places here on the walk and deciding where we'd like to set up camp. Both him and I like camping, and especially camping in the wilderness. And this is a good place for a camp. You come and have a look. It's nice and flat. There's got shade, 360 degrees, which means that it's going to be a nice cool thing. You've got a drainage line, which means you're going to have animals around, and it's a good place to go and sit and put your deck chair and have an apple juice. When the sun is going down, you can lots of dead wood around, so you've got lots of fires. Nice place to put a hammock, good birds. This is a good campsite. So if I was walking through the wilderness and we needed to do a wilderness camp, this is where I would set up my camp. It's a good place for a camp. And we've camped often. I've probably camped, I don't know, a couple of 100 times, maybe more, in the bush, in the wilderness, in the middle of the Kruger National Park. And I've slept on the floor for most of that time, with the exception of the last couple of years, where I've figured out that these hammocks are just such a fantastic idea. Obviously, if you're on your own, not much sleeping happens. But when you've got enough people to do a night watch system, which stops hyena from biting you in your face, then a hammock is just such a fantastic idea. You string it up between two trees, you off the floor, in a sleeping bag. It's a very comfortable way of sleeping, and then you don't have all the irregularities of sleeping on the ground, which, believe me, it oh, hold on, we've got some information coming through on that elephant. Lou, would you mind just sorry, Lou, would you just repeat that? I've got a problem with my earpiece falling out of my head, so I'm battling to hear you. Yep. Oh, so Judy H. and Anne have come back with some interesting information on where that massive elephant Ngonyama got its name from. So Anne said that the elephant is named Ngonyama because he's got greenish tinge to his eyes that can flash like a lion's when he gets angry. And Judy H. says that the elephant was named Ngonyama because the man that named the elephant was bitten by a lion. And of course, Ngonyama is, I suppose, as a tribute to it. And then we've got a third comment coming through as well. Okay, and who said that comment, Lou, our viewer? Oh, and then Project Alpha says that Ace, that Ngonyama was named after is a nickname of a gentleman called Ace de Villiers, who named the elephant. So it was the nickname. So we've got three very plausible options. I don't know which one is true. Of course, they all sound pretty cool, and so why not make them all true? Not one has to be a winner at this particular stage. The fact is that thank you very much to Anne and Judy Ace, H, and what's our third viewer? Lou, I've forgotten now completely again. My memory is shocking at the moment. And Project Alpha there, excuse me. So Anne, Judy H, and Project Alpha, thank you very much for doing some research on Ngonyama and making sure that we understand this elephant's name. Things are good when they got names. I like names. And all three stories are pretty cool. Some dude getting bitten by a lion, having green eyes that flash like a lion's when he's angry, or named after a guy whose nickname was Ngonyama. And there are some characters out here that have personalities like lions. So whoever this Ace de Villiers is, I'm sure he's a notable fellow. All right, why don't we send you over to James, who's just cruising through the Mara at the moment, with something to, I suppose, look for.
As I'm just such a cruiser, I'm cruising through the Mara. This is where we had the lions yesterday evening, and they seem to have disappeared. And as there are people having breakfast close by, I think it's unlikely that they're about to emerge from where we had them yesterday evening. There are also pigs running straight towards where they were, So I don't know, it's been rather unsuccessful around this side. Very successful this morning, rhino and lions now. Bernice, I think that you may be slightly under a misapprehension, and I'll show you why. Point to the camera if you would be so kind. 1 second, just get up here. Over in that direction, would you? I'm talking to Craig, not you, Bernice, don't worry. Bernice, you say, with the lack of buffalo, is there more for the other herbivores to eat? There ain't no lack of buffalo here. There are lots and lots of buffalo. They just occur in slightly smaller groupings than we might expect to find them in a place like the Kruger National Park, but there are plenty of buffalo around here. And they play an enormously important role. And a lack of buffalo is likely to result in an overgrowth of moribund grass material, which in turn will stop new growth of grass. And buffalo tend to eat all of the long, really inedible stuff for most other creatures and open up grassland areas for the new growth. So I think that they are an extremely important part of the ecology here, as they are in a place like the Kruger Park. And yeah, I mean, there are lots of buffalo here, Bernice, really a huge number. I'd say their density is as high as it is, certainly as high as it is in a place like the Sabi Sand. Remember, it's difficult to compare the Kruger in here, because the Kruger for a long time, and I'm using the term Kruger and Sabi Sand almost interchangeably because they're part of the same ecosystem, but because for so long they have been manipulated and managed by human beings, it's difficult to tell, you know, what we're seeing there. It's difficult to tell which bits of the ecology are a result of human interference, or which bits are just a natural progression of things, natural part of the dynamic equilibrium of the ecology. And I think as the hands-off approach in the Kruger becomes much more prominent, I think it's going to be much easier and much more interesting actually to compare the two ecologies. So very much so in the Kruger National Park, for example, they've stopped pumping artificial water points, or some of them anyway, and that means that those areas will change and we'll get a much more kind of, I think, balanced view of what the ecology would naturally do in the absence of human beings. Much more like this area. And interestingly, though, this area, of course, although we talk about the absence of human beings from an active management point of view, I mean, the Maasai have been in this area for a very, very long time. And so when I say an absence of human beings, I just mean from a management point of view. I don't want to go down this road. This is where we had the lions yesterday, but I actually want to go back along the top of the escarpment so that we can just tell if maybe the sausages haven't gone back up that way. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go backwards like this for a while. Jane, you're wondering about aggression in animals and whether they get more aggressive during the dry season. Oh, James. Yes, I think that they probably do. Any animal that it feels its resources are under threat will become aggressive. Craig, for example, who is very chilled indeed, is likely to get aggressive if you touch his breakfast, for example, or try to threaten his tea. He'll get very cross. So, yes, animals do get slightly more aggressive, and certainly we've seen a lot. Now, hang on, this road just goes up to a picnic point, and I'm just going to disturb these poor people. I want to go on the road next to this. I'm getting completely lost. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith and his cheetah behind a bush. Right, sorry about that. Brent has been in a very difficult area, and so his communications are a little tough today. So aggression on the dry season, we've often seen elephants chasing away buffalo from the waterhole at Djuma, and certainly certainly the dry season at Djuma last year with the drought resulted in quite a lot of aggression. That's going to be it from us. We're going to hand you over to Jamie now, who's going to close the show appropriately for breakfast time with some bacon.
Oh, they're not bacon. Not, oh, yeah. Wandering off. Definitely potential bacon for leopards, but there's a tiny little bacon on the left. And we didn't manage to get to the leopard that's around the river, but we have found you a really very sweet warthog piglet. There are warthog piglets absolutely everywhere throughout the Mara. In this case, sorry, Mum. This is probably her only surviving piglet. Oh, and apparently she only has half a tail. Look at them trotting off. It's okay, Mum. It's okay. We don't think your baby's bacon, I promise. It's the lions and the leopards you've got to watch out for. Now, don't disappear completely now. Oh, dear. Off they go, trotting off. Everybody commenting the cute little sausage. It is so sweet. We've seen some really nice baby warthog sightings over the last few weeks. Dashing in front of the wildebeest. You can't even see the little piglet, it's so tiny behind the grass. And you've got to take advantage of it, because those little piglets grow up so phenomenally quickly. And all of a sudden they're not nearly as cute as they used to be. So every time I see a baby piglet, that's tautology right there. Every time I see a piglet, I'm going to stop and show it to you. As Mum peers over the top of the grass, staring in our direction. So we didn't manage to get to the leopard this morning, but that might be on the cards for this afternoon. It depends. I've been chatting to some of the other guides and have found out all kinds of exciting things await us. But you'll have to wait for the sunset safari to find out, because now it is time for our farewells and our thank yous. So thank you to Fergus for his wonderful camera work, and of course the cup of tea. Most importantly, a big thank you to all of you. We'll catch you tomorrow this afternoon for the sunset safari.